Good afternoon, students. Am I audible? Students, can anyone reply? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see the slide? Can anyone reply?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So students, we will do a quick revision of the concepts what we have discussed in the earlier class. So in today's class, we will do a revision and then we'll go for the next part. We have discussed regarding leadership traits and ethics. So majorly, uh, in the earlier class, we have discussed about the personality traits and leadership. So wherein we know by this time the traits are distinguishing personal characteristics. Then personality is a combination of traits that classifies an individual's behavior. Then majorly students, we even understood in the earlier class the big five model of personality, right? This is very, very important question. The big five model of personality, wherein the purpose of the big five is to reliably categorize into the five dimensions. So the big five model of personality categorizes traits into the dimensions of which are the surgency, as you can see the in the slide, surgency, agreeableness, adjustment. Then we have consciousness and openness to experience. Whereas what we have understood from surgency was the surgency personality dimension includes leadership and extraversion traits. Very important. So people strong in surgency, what we have understood, they are more commonly called dominants, where they'll be very dominant, right? So personality traits want to be in charge. Then extraversion is on continuum between extrovert and introvert. Then we even discussed about agreeableness. So agreeableness means what? Unlike surgency behavior, to get ahead of others, the agreeableness personality dimension includes traits. So traits which are related to getting along with the people. So agreeable personality behavior is strong when a person is called warm, easygoing, compassionate, friendly, and even sociable. So we discussed about agreeableness also. Then we have adjustment, which includes traits related to emotional stability. So stable refers self-control, being calm, good under pressure, then relaxed, secure, and positive, always prizing others. So wherein unstable is what is out of control, poor under pressure, nervous during any project or during examination, insecure, and always negative thinking. And students, please understand, these negative thinkers will always be criticizing others. Then we have consciousness. So this personality dimension includes traits related to achievement. Please understand, achievement. So it is also on a continuum between responsible or dependable to irresponsible or undependable. So that is what we have discussed in the earlier class. Then we have last but not the least, that is openness to experience. So the openness to experience personality dimension include traits related to being willing to change and try to do new things. So people that are strong in openness means to experience, seek change and trying doing new things in their life. While those with a weak openness dimension avoid change and new things. So they want to continue with the traditional business sometimes. They do not want to do anything new in their life. Okay. Then we even understood in the previous class the traits of effective leaders, which includes dominance, high energy. Then we have internal locus of control, integrity, flexibility, sensitivity to others. They will be intelligent. They'll be very stable, calm, and even the self-confidence. So in the previous class, we have understood each parameter in detail. Then we came across one important concept that was called as EI. That is emotional intelligence, which you have discussed in the earlier class. That is EI is the ability to work well with the people and emotional intelligence is essential to healthy relationships. And basically, in the earlier class, we even understood the 4 components of EQ, which includes self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. And after understanding this, we even understood about achievement motivation theory. So here in this theory, that is achievement motivation theory, it attempts to explain and predict the behavior and the performance based on a person's need for achievement, power, and affiliation. Correct? So we even discussed about the need for achievement, we call it as ENAC. Then the need for power, we call it as NPOW, and the need for affiliation, which is called as NF. So each one of them we have discussed. Now we'll try to understand one of the important concept of this particular module, which is called as leadership attitudes. So please understand, students, attitudes are positive or negative feelings about people, things, and issues. So there has been a considerable interest in how attitude affect the performance, and companies are recruiting employees with a positive attitude. So we all have the favorable or the positive attitudes, and even we will be having unfavorable or negative attitudes about what? About life, leadership, work, school, and everything else. See, when we speak about attitude, it can be either positive attitude or negative attitude. See, employees with the positive attitudinal states are more willing to work hard. And attitudes, please understand, students, attitudes help to explain and predict the job performance. We always say, right? Positive optimism there is there in an individual. So what do you mean by optimism over there? Optimism is a good predictor of job performance. See, like personality traits, attitudes have an important influence on behavior and performance. For example, students, attitude towards a class or job can be positive or negative. Generally, if you like a job, you will attend more often, or you will be doing more often and work harder. So even if I have a negative attitude towards a job, you may still work hard due to other factors such as the personality traits and motives. So here, students, in the present session, we will try to understand how the leadership attitudes relate to theory X and theory Y, and how the Pygmalion effect influences followers' behavior and performance. See, please see the slide over there. We have theory X and theory Y. So what do you mean by theory X and theory Y? Today, theory X and theory Y attempt to explain and predict the leadership behavior and performance based on leaders' attitude about the followers. So managers with the theory X attitude tend to have a negative, pessimistic view of employees and display more coercive, autocratic leadership styles using external means of controls such as threats and punishment. I'm repeating once again, students. Managers with theory X attitude tend to have a very negative, pessimistic view of employees and display more coercive, autocratic leadership style using external means of control, which can be a threat or punishment. If some manager, you might have heard telling that if you do not perform this particular task within a stipulated time, he or she will be removed from the job. So it is like how it's a threat. So managers with theory Y attitude they tend to have a positive. They are very optimistic about the employees and always display a very participative leadership style. So they majorly use internal motivation and rewards. And very important, students, in 1966, when Mike Grigger published his Theory X and Theory Y, most of the managers had Theory X attitude. And he was calling for a change to Theory Y attitude. So the more recently, the paradigm shift from management to leadership also reflects this change in attitudes, as more managers, as on today, they use the participative leadership style. So managers should always acknowledge the influence of attitudes on behavior and performance. And let me give a quick literature review about this. A study of over 12,000 managers explored the relationship between managerial achievement and attitudes toward subordinates. So the managers with Theory Y attitude were better at accomplishing organizational objectives and even better at tapping the potential of subordinates. So the managers with strong Theory X attitude were far from likely to be in the low achieving group. See, always remember, your attitudes are very, very important, because your leadership style will spring from your core attitudes about your followers. Next, we'll try to understand. Okay, please see the slide over there. Manager with Theory X attitudes tend to have a negative. Just now, whatever I have discussed, I put in the slide over there. See, managers with Theory X attitudes tend to have a negative, pessimistic view of employees, and they display more coercive, autocratic leadership styles using external means of control, such as threats and punishment. Whereas managers with Theory Y attitudes tend to have a positive, optimistic view of employees, and they even display more participative leadership style using internal motivation as well as rewards. And shocking was in 1966, when Mark Grigger published his Theory X and Theory Y, most managers had Theory X attitude, which was what? Which was very dominating, very pessimist, negative about the employees, not participative style. And he called for all of them to change to Theory Y attitude. Okay, see, all of you can see here. Please, this is a very important differentiation between Theory X as well as Theory Y attitude, or attitude is concerned. You can see over there, Theory X, the attitude is concerned, people dislike work. They always find it boring, and they always try to avoid. Whereas you can see the attitude of Theory Y parallelly on the other side. People need to work and want to take an interest. Under right conditions, they can enjoy the work because of the positive attitude, high energy level, and the enthusiasm what they have, and the zeal what they have in the managers. Okay. Then the second parameter, that is direction, is concerned. When it comes to Theory X, people must be forced or bribed to make the right effort. See how negative is the attitude here in case of Theory X. Whereas in case of Theory Y, people will direct themselves towards a target that they accept. So no one should tell them that you have to perform this particular task. They voluntarily will be doing all the duties assigned to them. Then when it comes to responsibility, you can see over there in Theory X, people would rather be directed than accept responsibility, which they avoid. Whereas in case of Theory Y, people will seek voluntarily and they accept the responsibility under the right conditions. Again, I'm repeating, students, when there is a failure, always remember, everyone starts the blaming game. When the system failure happens, or if any failure in the organization, right? Whereas the success always considered to because of them. Then the fourth parameter over there, motivation. See, in theory X, people are motivated mainly by money because monetary benefit speaks here. And they're always afraid about their job security. They do all the duties because of the job security. If I do not perform this particular job, then I can be removed. See the motivation there. Whereas theory Y, under the right condition, people are motivated by the desire to realize their own potential. They love the job. They enjoy doing that particular job. Then obviously the last parameter is concerned, that is creativity. In case of theory X, most people have little creativity except when it comes to getting round rules. Theory Y is concerned, he's very open guy, he's very enthusiastic, he's very confident, he enjoys to work, he loves his job. So what happens to the creativity? Creativity and ingenuity are widely distributed and grossly underused. A very, very important thing to understand the two theories, that is theory X and theory Y. But today, majority of the people or majority of the managers, they use the participative style, that is theory Y. They have a positive attitude towards their employees. I'm telling majority, not all, majority. Right? This is one important thing. Developing a more positive attitude and self-concept. See, so far we have discussed the leaders' attitudes about followers. Now we'll examine leaders' attitudes about themselves. That is self-concept, right? Self-concept in what? About themselves. See, self-concept refers to the positive or negative attitudes people have about themselves. You might be observing many people. First, they speak negative about the system. Then they speak negative about their subordinates. Then they speak negative about the society. Then they speak negative about the nation. Then there's one day what happens is they start speaking negative about themselves. Why I have born? They start answering the question. So what is self-concept? Self-concept refers to the positive or negative attitudes people have about themselves. So if you have a positive view of yourself as being a capable person, you will tend to have the positive self-confidence trait. So a related concept, that is self-efficacy, is the belief in your own capability to perform in a specific situation. So self-efficacy is based on self-concept and is closely related to the self-confidence trait. Because if you have belief, you can be successful. And you will often have self-confidence. So there is a lot of truth in saying, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. I'm repeating once again. If you think you can, definitely you can achieve it. But if you initially decide in your mind that you cannot do that, it is obviously you cannot do that, because already you have a prefix in your mind that it is not possible from you. So consciously try to have and maintain a positive, optimistic attitude. Divya Patil, good afternoon. Am I audible? Are you understanding? Divya? Divya, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Rohini Patil, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Oh, all are sleepy mood, huh? You should be energetic. We are discussing about self-concept, right? So realize that there are few, if any, benefits to negative, pessimist attitude about others and yourself. We should always cultivate optimistic thoughts See, we are seeing now few COVID patients are dying. A classic example is in front of you, and few are surviving. How it is? It is because they have a zeal to stay alive. They have that strong belief that they can survive. It is because of their strong positive thinking that I want to stay, I will stay. Nothing will happen to me. So they're coming out of hospitals. And few, the moment they'll come to know that we have been attacked by COVID, a lot of negativity will come to their mind. Arey, I may die. I require immediately oxygen cylinder. I require immediately bed. You are seeing now in the TV. Your thinking will decide in which direction you will be going. So always we should cultivate optimistic thoughts. So think of sports, that is sinking a basket, getting a goal or a hit, running a certain distance or time, or lifting a weight. Think of your school, passing a test, getting a good grade on an assignment, or getting a certain final grade. Think of your work, completing a task or meeting a deadline, making a sale or solving a problem. So successful leaders have positive attitudes with strong self concepts, which are optimistic, and believe they can make a positive difference. So if you don't believe you can be a successful leader, you probably won't be. Right? So if you catch yourself complaining or being negative in any way, stop and change to a positive attitude. And very important, students, I think all of you are facing this. We should always avoid people who speak negative, especially any that make you feel negative about yourself. We should always avoid such people. Better you be alone, but do not mingle with these people who speak always negative. And then it still continues. We should always set and achieve the goals. So we should, when we speak about the goals, we should be always smart enough to set the goals. When I say smart, it should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So dear students, please understand, we should always set the short-term goals, which can be daily, weekly, or even monthly, that you can achieve. So achieving specific goals will improve your self-concept, helping you to view yourself as very successful. Then we should always focus on the success. Don't always remember the failure. Then we should accept the compliments. Then don't belittle accomplishments or compare yourself to others. This is one of the biggest thing what is happening today. We try to compare ourselves with others, but we'll not see the effort behind that. We'll not compare the effort behind that. So if you meet a goal and say it was easy anyway, you are being negative. So if you compare yourself to someone else and say that they are better, you are being negative. So no matter how good you are, there is almost always someone better. So focus on being the best that you can be rather than putting yourself down for not being the best. Then very important, students, we should think for yourself. So develop our own attitudes, that is positive attitudes based on others' input. Don't simply copy other attitude. That is very important. We should not try to replicate others. And then we should always be a positive role model. How? If the leader has a positive attitude, the followers usually will do the will go in the same direction. And the last point is, when things go wrong and you are feeling down, do something to help someone who is worse off than you. That means you will realize that you don't have it so bad. And you will also realize that more you give, the more you get. See, volunteering at a jail or hospital or during COVID situation, you can see a lot of people volunteering over there. What they will be getting? They'll be getting a self-satisfaction. You can see in the media over there, people of any caste, creed, religion, any blood group, They're running behind oxygen cylinders. They're helping people who are in need of that. They're helping people to get the beds. But they're not related. Why they're doing all those things? It is because of the satisfaction what they're getting. Because they feel that, okay, we are required during those tough times. And very important, students, present situation, I'm telling you, the statistics, what every day we are seeing in the media, say 35,000 are affected and 300 death hua hai Karnataka mein, or 40,000 affected, so many deaths have happened in Karnataka. For us, it is just a number, a statistics for the government or for us. But out of that 300 or 400, if someone is related to you, just imagine the situation. Right? If someone is your friend or your relative or someone very close to you, just imagine your situation, how much hurt you will be. Correct? So when things go wrong and you're feeling down, do something to help someone who is worse off than you. Very, very important concept now, which is called as ethical leadership. So today, many of the leaders, they are very ethical. Many of the leaders, the classic example is when we speak about ethical leadership, Ratan Tata sir. So ethics means what? It is an especially hot topic because it is a major concern to both managers and even employees. So it is important that some large organizations have ethics officers who are responsible for developing and implementing ethic codes. So business ethics and ethics codes should provide assistance in making ethical decisions. So ethics are what? Ethics are the standards of right and wrong that influence the behavior. So there's a question which has been asked over there. Does ethical behavior pay? So research studies have reported a positive relationship between ethical behavior and leadership effectiveness. See? Beautiful. There is a research studies which has been proved that a positive relationship, there is a positive relationship that exists between ethical behavior and the leadership effectiveness. However, you cannot go too many days without hearing or reading in the mass media. Ethics are, as I mentioned to you, they are the standards of right and wrong that influence the behavior. When we say about right behavior is considered ethical and wrong behavior is considered unethical. See, government laws and regulations are designed to help the keep business honest. However, we can't depend on the government to make people ethical. So ethical behavior goes beyond legal requirements. And the difference between ethical and unethical behavior is not always clear, because there is no set of rational, consistent moral principles within one country. See, what is considered unethical in some countries is considered ethical in others. For example, in the United States, it is ethical to give a gift, but unethical to give a bribe. However, the difference between a gift and a bribe is not always clear-cut, right? In some countries, giving bribes is the standard business practice. See, does ethical behavior pay? There's a question. Yes. Research studies have reported a positive relationship between the ethical behavior and the leadership effectiveness. Recall, we discussed about integrity, students, which is an important trait of effective leaders. And ethics and trust are a part of integrity. So ethics has to be encouraged by the leaders who themselves are honest and willing to admit their mistakes. So effective managers led by an example and reward integrity in others. So there are simple guides to ethical behavior. We'll discuss them. Golden rule is there, okay? Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Or put other ways. Don't do anything to other people that you would not want them to do to you. Lead others as you want to be led. So what do you mean by that? We'll try to understand four-way test. See, Rotary International developed the four-way test of things we think and do to guide business transaction. The four questions, what the first thing the businesses should ask themselves is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and a better friendship to my organization or the employees? Or will it beneficial to all the concerned? See how beautifully the questions are there, right? So when making your decisions, if you can answer yes to all these four questions, it is probably ethical. The first question you need to ask yourself to you is it truth? Is it fair to all the concerned in the society? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Or will it be beneficial to all the concerned? So this is very important, that is four-way test, what we need to understand. So how to be an ethical leader? It is said that in a recent survey found that over 2/3, so when I hear 2/3 means how much, 71% of the Americans rated corporations low for operating in a fair and honest manner. So it has been said that a culture of lying is infecting American business. So why is ethics such a problem today? A root cause of the problem is that people have become greedy. They tend to overtake ethics through looking out only for one's own self-interest, often at the expense of others. So many people have the idea that if you are making money, any behavior is acceptable. So there are few ways you can find to encourage to do right things. The first one is focus on a higher purpose, such as helping. Please understand, when I say focus on a higher purpose, which can be helping or looking out for the well-being of customers as well as your employees. See, always remember, first you should take care of your internal stakeholders, that is employees, and then you should take care of your customers. So you should always focus on a higher purpose. That is how the first quality of an ethical leader means. Then the second way could be draw strength from others. What do you mean by draw strength from others? See, people with courage often get into from the support of friends at work or supporting family. Take risk without fear of failure. So accept the fact that we all fail at times, and that failure leads to success. Remember an example, Thomas Edison had something like 1,000 failures before he got the electric light to work. So we always try to learn from the failure and don't repeat the same mistakes. But we should focus on the positive successes. Recall, students, that happiness is nothing more than a poor memory for failure. Keep taking reasonable risk or calculated risk. That is very important. And the last point here is, I want to highlight here is, we should always use our frustration and anger for good things. That means what? When you observe unethical or ineffective wrong behavior, use your emotions to have the courage to take action to stop it and prevent it from happening again. See, I want to quote an example of Warren Buffett here. When Warren Buffett took over Salomon Brothers, it was full of scandals for unethical behavior. But what Mr. Buffett did, Buffett called a meeting with employees saying the unethical behavior had to stop. So he was one of the complaints officer. He gave his home phone number and told employees to call him if anyone observed any unethical behavior. At that time, attorney Colin Rowley, the FBI staff, blew the whistle by sending a letter calling attention to the FBI shortcoming that may have contributed to what? September 11, 2001 terrorist tragedy. So this is how we should build an organization filled with a lot of ethics. So by this particular this slide, I will end today's lecture. So we're almost done with this second unit. I hope all of you have understood with a positive note. Thank you so much, students, for your patience listening. I will end today's session. Okay.